I'm here with the lovely Niklas of Katatonia to talk about Sky Void of Stars out January 20th on Napalm Records. It's nice to see you again. I saw you in Toronto when you guys played during this North American tour. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Been productive. Been cleaning up the Katatonia rehearsal room so we can rehearse for the next tour that we're embarking on, which will be we're leaving Stockholm on the 19th, but playing the first show on the same day as we release the new album. So it's exciting and very fitting.
It's really exciting. It kind of almost works like an album release party.
Yeah, exactly. It's a best way to celebrate a new album.
I agree with you. Before we talk about the new album, let me ask you about that North American tour. Did it meet all of your expectations? Because when I saw you guys was really just 3 shows in. You guys hadn't played a lot of shows. So now that the tour is over, and looking back at it, did it meet all of your expectations?
Yeah, it really did. It's always good to be in North America and in both the states and Canada, and it's great to be back. And it's been something that we've been longing for a long time, and which unfortunately didn't happen because of the pandemic. We had already a US tour lined up for 2020, but we needed to cancel for obvious reasons. So it's been something that we've been longing for a long time.
Well, I hope you guys come back soon now that this new album is hitting the shelves, as you may say, on January 20th. And changing gears into this album, let me ask you. I mean, it's this is the 12th record. The band has a DNA, the band has a sound. But when you look at this album, what do you see as being new, and what do you see as being the soul of Katatonia represented within it?
I think what's new with it is that it's more direct. It's more kind of like a rock pop kind of album in that kind of way. There's no interludes. There's no electronic, fully electronic songs on the album. It's more hard hitting in my opinion, and something like all the songs could be good in a live format. And I think that we will probably play almost all of them at some point during this touring cycle. And it still, of course, got the melancholic and gloomy DNA of Katatonia.
That's always a must, and definitely the record has that. Is the way you guys design an album, because I always feel like Katatonia albums are meant to be listened from start to finish, not just taking a song out of context. Is the way you guys design the album now just part of the way you create a record, or is that something that each album kind of defines on its own, depending on the songs that you have available?
Yeah, it's something that totally becomes unique for each album. It's kind of like creating a set list, if you will, that songs should make sense coming after each other, and it shouldn't be something that, so something that feels like it's gone stale, the album, that it's not interesting anymore, that it's gone too mellow or too I don't know, too soft and not heavy enough. So it's kind of finding the right balance. And so it's very much as you say, it should be listened and digested from start to finish, and we're still kind of doing it in a thinking that it could be good on a vinyl, just putting the needle on and just experiencing it as a whole, and to just let your ears be focused on that. And yeah, so it's very, very much a thoughtful process to make the track order.
Was this album, from that point of view, less challenging, more challenging than previous records?
I think maybe if you're taking away interludes and taking away like vastly different songs, it can actually be more difficult to know which one would fit after the other. That it can be just feeling like you don't really want to just put the same kind of bricks too much on top of each other. But it was I think it came out good in the end.
Of all the albums you've worked on with Katatonia, where does this album rank as far as the challenges and the growth that it offered you as a musician?
I think it might have been one of the more challenging. I think it's I think it's definitely up there with the the Fall of Hearts. Even though the Fall of Hearts is the most challenging, just because of like how long it was and how very very dynamic it was. But for some reason, like coming back after the hiatus and getting the well-oiled machinery back again, and getting it well-oiled again, it was it felt fresh and felt very challenging, but also inspiring to be part of a new Katatonia record again.
Were you a little bit rusty, or the guys? Were everybody a little bit rusty?
I think I was a little bit rusty. It was an easier experience on City Burials to record the bass than for this one. Not necessarily that the songs were more difficult, but we just kind of like getting back into it. But that.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so I think that's just the case. So I hope that the next one will be easier on me.
When it comes to the bass sound on a Katatonia record, and maybe specifically on this one, Sky Void of Stars, where do you like to see your bass in the mix in order for it to have the right impact in the sound and the experience of that sound?
I think it should be in the mix where it kind of it adds to the guitars, but also makes the drums groove more as well. Kind of like having that glue that kind of like melts the guitars and the drums together to be that kind of like the missing link in a way. So I very much don't think that it should be too far, like too far out in the mix and too high. But it should be enough that you can hear the spice and the flavors that I put on there. So kind of like be noticed, but in a subtle way.
Is that the same approach you take on every record, or do you look at every record depending on how the songs are put together, in terms of what do you want out of your bass on those specific songs?
Yeah, I think you should just like try to tailor make it out of like depending on which song that you're recording for, and to and not just do the same kind of formula all over again, but I'll actually see what fits the song best, and especially when arranging the bass. So sometimes I've had the opportunity to actually play less than what was on the pre-production material, because I thought it was too much and it would take over from, like, it would steal attention from the singing. So I very much think that it's a balance, and bass can be one of those horrible instruments if it's someone overplaying it. It only works in funk, I think. Then there's no boundaries on how much you can. How much you can play.
The more bass, the better.
Oh yeah, just look at Joe Dart, for example, of Wolfpack.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. Was there a track on this record, from your perspective, that it was extra difficult for you to get it to where you wanted to be bass-wise? Or the whole record was more, a collective effort, and all songs were similar and equal in its difficulties and challenges?
Yeah, I think Impermanence, with the one that Joel Eklöf, where he is guesting, I think that was the one that was most challenging, at least for me, to record, because I'm stubborn in the way that I play all the songs in the same tuning. So I don't change the bass, or I don't like tune it for different songs. I like to play it all in one tuning. So I need to move my hand up to a second fret sometimes to reach the ground note of that song. And that song just became hell to record in that tuning. So I'm not sure how I will approach that live, but I know that was the first song that I recorded in a different tuning for Katatonia album. And I actually needed to just go home and relearn it all over again because it was too hard and too challenging to play, like record in in the way that I usually do. So I never encountered that before. So that's definitely the most challenging for me.
So from a live setting perspective, would it make more sense for you perhaps to have a separate bass on a different tuning so that it becomes a little bit more feasible for you to play it more effortlessly live?
Yeah.
Or you're stubborn, like you said, you're stubborn. You're not doing it.
I will try my best to make it work with the tuning that I always play. But if it doesn't work, I just have to change my strategy.
At least you admit that you're stubborn, so that's good. At least you're admitting to it, and that's half the battle right there.
Yeah, definitely.
Earlier on, you said about this record having more of a direct sound, a more rock pop sound. Is there where the brightness of, because normally Katatonia albums are pretty dark, are pretty melancholic, are pretty gloomy, but this album, it feels a little bit more brighter, or at least there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Does that come from that perspective of the sound?
Yeah, it could be, and I think it's kind of like it has to do with us being very, very hungry of going out playing live, and like writing something that would fit in that kind of scheme and that kind of scene. So I definitely think that has influenced the sound of maybe being less gloomy and depressed. That there's a shimmer of hope there, and now it's quite fitting because we haven't been able to play live for a good while, and it's the same for everyone in the scene, and it's of course has been going on now for a while that people can play live, but it still feel, at least for me, very fresh, and it's something that you need to pinch yourself sometimes before you walk on stage, because like, is this really real? Because just a few years back, it was, people were even pondering if live music would ever come back again.
Mm-hmm. You also mentioned the synths and the keyboards. What do you see the role of those elements on this specific album? Are they more of a layer? They're more of a texture? Because I don't feel like this album really uses them or overuses them throughout its entire existence.
Yeah, I think it's more kind of like a spice and a layer, as you say, rather than having like a kind of like more fundamental role as it has been on previous records. So yeah, I think that also makes this record feel more kind of like a direct kind of rock record, but also with kind of like the architecture and how we arrange songs. It can also feel sometimes like a pop record as well, which I very much welcome.
I have to ask you about the title of the album, because a lot of the times the title of the album connects really well with the songs and everything that's within the record. But for all the brightness that I find in this record, A Sky Voided of Stars feels a little bit gloomy. So where does the title of the album come from? What's the inspiration behind it?
Yeah, so basically the title of the album, it can be described as like back in the day, you were navigating yourself through stars and to find your path and where you need to go. But with a sky that's void of stars, you're kind of lost, and you need to try to realign and find yourself in some other kind of way. So it's a very dark and very gloomy meaning, and yeah, it fits very, very well to the Scandinavian climate because it's very dark here right now.
Same with Canada. We have a very similar climate and atmosphere. So yeah, I get where you're coming from. When you look at all the work that you've done with Katatonia, what is the greatest thing about being in a band like this?
I think it's the greatest thing being in a band like this is to have people that you can call family, and that you both create together and do something that will be kind of like an infinite timestamp, and that other people can enjoy as well. And also, of course, go out and tour the world and create friends and meet old friends, and yeah, it's pretty much something that has been like my childhood dream. So of course that's one plus.
So being in a band filled with friends, are you a perfectionist, and are your friends perfectionists?
It depends on what it is. I think we're all trying to be perfectionists in what we do in terms of music, but we can be quite laid back in other things as well.
So definitely. It really depends. When it comes to the music, you guys want everything to move smoothly.
Oh yeah, most definitely, and we're all kind of like in the notion that we don't satisfy ourselves if something isn't 100%.
Yeah, it can be just okay.
Exactly. If it would just be okay, then that would probably be the last Katatonia album.
I like that attitude. That's the right attitude to have.
Yeah.
One last question for you. After 12 records, do you feel like there's still doors for you guys to open creatively that you haven't even touched yet?
I think that's something that you always should strive for, to open new doors. And I think there's lots of new doors to open for Katatonia, and because music is such a wide and rich language, so I think in terms of what you can open, what you can discover and what you can realize, we've only probably scratched the surface. So I think definitely there's lots more to be accomplished, if that's the right word.
Well, the future is bright, with some melancholy, but bright.
Exactly. Like we Swedes are, I guess.
Yeah, bright colors of your national team jersey and your flag, but with a very melancholic spirit.
Oh yeah, definitely. Which is hidden way down. We try to be jolly and eat our meatballs and smile, but deep down we're melancholic people.
I love your description. It's absolutely perfect. And Niklas, thank you very much for your time today. I really appreciate it. It was a pleasure seeing you in Toronto. I hope to see you guys soon. And best of luck with the new tour that you guys are going to get started, and with the release of this album on January 20th.
Thank you so much for having me through my low-end cell phone, which I'm probably looking horrible.
You look fabulous. You look fabulous.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Take care. All the best.
Good. Take care.